Hello, my name's Catherine. I'm going to be talking to you today about leadership styles and communication.
What three leadership styles do you tend to use in your practice?
There are actually four. It's been recognised that there are four types of leadership styles. The first is a democratic leader, which I think is the most effective form. It involves basically others through discussion and encouragement, and it's a style that has to be learned, and I think once done is very, very effective. Another style is dictatorial leaders, who basically use force or power to get the results that they want, usually in a negative outcome, to be honest, in the longer term. Authoritarian leaders make unilateral decisions and limit working methods. They just make decisions for everybody else. I think the last one is laissez-faire leaders, who basically give their team members freedom and become involved only when the team members really request it. It's basically all based on trust. Oh no, it's all good.
What sort of behaviours might each different style use, and name an example of a situation for each?
Okay, so my style, I'm fairly new to the managing a practice, and I've learned a great deal since I've been doing this course. Previously, the practice manager left things with a lot of room for improvement, and so I've been able to develop my own style almost. And I think really I'm a combination of the first one, which is the democratic leader, and a little bit of laissez-faire, simply because I'm new to this. I've had to delegate from early on, and I tend to learn how to do something and then pass it on to another team member who I know that will finish it properly and to the required standard. So really, yes, I'm a combination of a democratic and a laissez-faire. I think this really has come from my predecessor not being able to delegate and giving very little trust away. This way I'm encouraging my team that I have a lot more faith in them than before. I think it's also working as things have become a lot more harmonious and democratic since I became the manager. I need my team to support me and in my new role. Styles and behaviours basically of the four different types. So if you're a democratic leader, it'll be a team approach entirely, really. Inclusion. Everybody gets included on decisions, and also inclusion through encouragement. Say, for example, if a business has a drop in sales, or a doctor's surgery has a drop in new patients, this is a really good approach to trying to find a solution. It means that a collaborative approach will come up with a good solution. Dictatorial behaviours would probably being presumptuous, usually likes total power, little delegation, which would be probably perceived as giving away power. A simple example probably would be a practice manager who decides to take who takes lunches and when they take them, and not really making allowances for pre-arranged meetings or what time they started, how long is their day. An authoritarian behaviour would be basically strict. Well, they want strict obedience. They want to make decisions on behalf of everyone else, and really with very little consultation, and really limiting working methods and not really open to change. A good example really would just not being delegating tasks or parts of tasks, which eventually means that the task wouldn't get done and it would not be done by its due date. A laissez-faire behavioural trait it's French, and it translates to let people do as they choose. This sums up the leadership approach also, I think. It basically means that you have to give people freedom to work and only get involved when they really need it. I feel that sometimes this can be probably a little bit too relaxed if in the wrong setting, but with a combination of another style will probably work really well. I think this style of leadership works well when you've got a design type of company, startup media organisations, for example, somewhere there where being able to work alone really is a must or a requirement.
Explain some approaches to communicate issues between management and the team to ensure follow-up action is taken.
To be an effective manager, you really need to have a very high level of communication. very high. It's the key point, really, I think, with when management. You will receive information in many different forms. Can be complaints from staff, complaints from patients if you're in a doctor's surgery. It can be in a gossip, it can be financial reports. The list is really endless. Then really the key here is how you interpret the information and then decide what information then requires communication and then to who. Very often there's a breakdown in communication between management level and the workforce. This then leads to problems, resentment, things not getting done, just all sorts of problems basically. Ways to overcome this would be making sure that the right information, as I said before, is included. One really good way of a verbal way is setting up meetings between reception, setting up meetings with the whole surgery. Other examples of non-verbal communication would be emails, memos, reports. It's really important to decide the most appropriate approach to communication and really making sure that it gets done, and remembering that verbal communication really doesn't leave an auditable trail, so really try and get it in writing if you can. That's the end of my talk. Thank you very much for listening to me today.